This is News 8 This Morning.
Might need that to cool down. It's about to get hot here. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the show. I'm Eric Connor.
And I'm Stella Escobedo. Some shaved ice sounds good right about now. Let's get right into your headlines this morning.
Today, marking a key vote on renter protections. A plan that would extend the rent payment period will go before the San Diego City Council.
News 8's Neda Rampur is live along Harbor Island to break down the proposal. Good morning, Neda.
Good morning. As you know, a lot of people across our area are dealing with unemployment, so it's hard for them to pay their bills, pay their rent, and then there's that fear of getting evicted. Will they end up on the streets? Well, right now, there is that eviction moratorium here throughout San Diego until the end of September, and today, City Council President Georgette Gomez wants to extend that through the end of March.
People are not back to work. They're still suffering, and now the fact that unemployment is expiring, and I'm only hoping that the federal government is going to move quickly.
Now, Georgette Gomez will ask for council support at today's scheduled council meeting. She wants to extend the rent payment deadline through March 31st. So right now the city has an eviction moratorium until September 30th. That means landlords cannot evict renters, and small businesses cannot get kicked out of their buildings either for not being able to pay rent or make those lease payments due to the pandemic. The moratorium does not forgive all rent, but it does give tenants additional time to pay that. Now, Gomez said because of unemployment, the expiration of that $600 in federal unemployment money, San Diegans should be given more time to make their payments. She said initially when they passed that moratorium back in March when the pandemic began, she had hoped that 6 months would be enough for renters and small businesses to recover from the economic effects of COVID-19. But right now, she says unemployment, of course, still high. Businesses are struggling. A lot of people have had to let their employees go. There's the other hand, property owners arguing that freeze on evictions will cost them dearly. Letting months of rent add up, they don't believe is the solution. Now, the city council did pass that eviction moratorium 2 times since the start of the pandemic. The last vote was a narrow one. It was a 5-4 vote to extend it through September. So it'll be interesting to see what they decide to do today. Again, that's happening this morning. City Council President will propose that eviction moratorium extension, which could add another 6 months for those renters. That's the very latest here. We'll send it back to you.
Chula Vista is looking at extending their eviction moratorium. It's one of the topics up for discussion during a city council meeting today. Council members plan to decide whether to extend the moratorium to September 30th of this year. This is part of the city's business relief package. Chula Vista leaders set aside more than $1 million for small businesses. The city also established a free permit option to allow restaurants to set up tables, chairs, and canopies outside, and retail stores to sell outdoors as well. Negotiations are now underway on Capitol Hill on a new coronavirus relief bill.
Senate Republicans unveiled their $3 trillion plan that proposes slashing the $600 weekly benefits to $200 a week for 2 months. After that, it would cap unemployment at 70% of a worker's previous wages. House Democrats are instead proposing to extend the $600 weekly federal payments through January. The GOP's proposal would also shield businesses from lawsuits stemming from the pandemic.
San Diego Salon owners are asking the governor for a new lifeline. They want to be allowed to move their services back indoors after many in the industry petitioned to move outdoors. Dozens protested outside county offices yesterday, chanting "Masks on, save salons." They argue operating in a controlled indoor environment is safer than outdoors due to the sanitizing measures that take place. But the pleas come on the same day. The county is reporting 2 new outbreaks that reportedly took place in salon settings.
We have spent thousands of dollars just preparing our salons, and I would challenge any state board inspector to come in and inspect our salons.
They said their plan is to make their voices heard in Sacramento next. That is scheduled for August 11th.
And it has been just over 3 weeks since San Diego County was placed on the state's watch list, and coronavirus cases continue to climb. The county reported 523 new cases, pushing us to a total of 27,507. 8% of the nearly 6,500 tests came back positive. That's a higher rate than we've seen recently. The 14-day rolling average is at 5.7%. No new deaths were reported. That number remains at 533 people. And county health officials are expressing concern over a worship service with over 5,000 people in attendance that took place Sunday on Cardiff State Beach. Video shows many were not wearing facial coverings, nor were they social distancing. The organizer, Sean Fout, is a self-described musician, missionary, and founder of a grassroots global worship and ran for Congress in Northern California. His statewide events attract large crowds. A spokesperson for State Parks says rangers were on scene monitoring, but only gave citations for illegal parking. They didn't explain why not for public health violations. Local health officials say there were clear violations.
We will continue to address this egregious violation as we have others that have been brought to our attention.
Public Health Officer Dr. Wilma Wooten says health officials are working with 3 other churches, and now this is one. And know that they need to comply with these health orders. Outside church gatherings are allowed as long as they adhere to public health guidelines. Concerns linger about the air quality in light of the fire on board USS Bonhomme Richard, and we are getting some new insight this morning. This comes as people who live near the ship are calling for action. News 8's Chris Groh is live outside Naval Base San Diego to explain. And Chris, these residents who live nearby there have been expressing concerns from day one.
They have been, and this new county air report basically sampling the air surrounding the immediate area close to this fire basically confirms that there were toxic levels of chemicals within this smoke, something that obviously goes against what the Navy initially said about what was burning on board, directly contradicts it now. However, the state's Office of Environmental Hazard Assessment also reviewed the samples taken of the air. And again, while chemicals were present, they believe the chemicals, benzene and the toxic smoke, were not at a level causing health concerns. But this was well above historical averages for the areas where sampling occurred. And it wasn't just elevated levels of benzene found in the sampling, but also chloromethane and acetyltriol. The samplings were taken from nearby sites, the closest one at Sherman Elementary, but there are also several other sites across the area. Residents from as far away as Vista reported seeing smoke and smelling a plastic or electrical-like odor, but people who live in Barrio Logan, Logan Heights, National City are especially concerned. They're the ones organizing, and advocates say these areas have suffered because of the air pollution from fire, which forced families into lockdown. The group now organizing is asking for a contingency plan to be put in place in case another fire or something similar like this happens. They would also like to see the Navy have increased communications, especially during a fire, not just with the media potentially about the status of the fire, the status of the ship, but potentially what's burning, what's being put into the area, and potentially working more closely with these neighborhoods about what they could be exposed to. Now, that county air sampling report is up on our website. We put it there. We have a link to it. You can go to our website, cbs8.com, and click on the story link. Back to you, Eric and Netta.
Chris, thanks. Time now for your morning rush. A man who fell and hit his head after he was tased by an Oceanside police officer is set to appear before a judge today. Video posted on social media captured the arrest, and we want to warn you this video may be difficult to watch. The arraignment for David Avila is scheduled for this morning. He's accused of trying to carjack several people at knife point. At one point, one officer tased Avila, causing him to fall backwards on his head. Department Chief Frank McCoy says officers were armed with 2 types of less lethal weapons. We also expect to learn the sentence for a man who struck and seriously injured a bicyclist before taking off in Ramona. Chase Richard pleaded guilty to felony charges of reckless driving. He hit Michelle Scott on State Route 67 near Dye Road last October. Richards agreed to a 3-year, 8-month sentence with 200 hours of community service and 20 months of supervision. His sentencing is set for 9 a.m. A San Diego man walks away without any injuries after safely landing this plane on Interstate 5 near Camp Pendleton. Happened just before 1 yesterday afternoon on the southbound side of the 5 in San Onofre near Basilone Road. Now, according to the CHP, the 55-year-old pilot was flying from John Wayne Airport in Orange County. He was on his way to Montgomery Field when his engine failed. The pilot saw a break in the traffic and then landed without hitting any cars.
He did a really good job. You know, I think he has 18 years of flying experience. He, I think a combo of some luck and some experience really played out well for us today.
Well, the plane was loaded onto a flatbed and taken to Oceanside Municipal Airport for repairs.
The late Congressman and civil rights leader John Lewis is now lying in state at the U.S. Capitol at the top of the East Front Steps for a public viewing. Here is a live picture right now.
What a powerful image this is right now, right? Lewis died on July 17th at the age of 80. Yesterday, Vice President Mike Pence was among the mourners who paid their respects. Congressional leaders praised Lewis as a moral force for the nation in a memorial service. Here's something interesting. Lewis is just one of 32 Americans to lie in state in the rotunda and the first black lawmaker to do so. Audio of Lewis's past speech brought some lawmakers to tears.
But you must never, ever give up or give in. You must keep the faith and keep your eyes on the prize. That is your calling. That is your mission. That is your moral obligation. That is your mandate. Get out there and do it.
And tomorrow, Lewis's body will lie in state at the Georgia State Capitol Rotunda for a ceremony. A funeral service is set for Thursday at Atlanta's Ebenezer Baptist Church, where the Reverend Martin Luther King Jr. once preached. So just like you said, Eric, those images are very powerful. Still to come, Attorney General William Barr is expected to testify on the Roger Stone case today, and the Trump administration is calling on the FCC to develop new regulations for social media platforms. It's all an effort to stop what they call the censoring of conservatives. Plus, popular San Diego music festival KAABOO has now been put on hold. We're going to explain more on its future plans. That's straight ahead.